Braden, you're a garter snake guy?
Oh yeah.
Well, I have a great story to tell you about Tetratania
Okay.
50 something years ago. So if, we can go into that. Um, I actually there were 4 sites to collect Tetratania back when I lived in San Francisco, and I think we're down to 2 or something. But I had 3 generations of Tetratania feeding on mice before the federal act. I moved back to Florida, and I called U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and one of the agents named, I think it was Ralph Palmer, came out to the house and said, "You're okay. We have to rule on what you can do with them now that they're protected, but you're okay." They were pre-act snakes. So I had 3 generations. You know how that goes. Lots of hungry little garter snakes, eating like 3 times a day, right? Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They never made a ruling, and I just wasn't going to keep them. So my good friend Louis Porras at the shed, I didn't sell them. I just gave them to him. They wound up with there's the authority on garter snakes about 50, 60 years ago was a guy in England. And he actually wrote a book. I used to have that book, and I can't find it. Anyway, he received all those animals, and so all the Tetratania and ham actually came through him back in the day. That's why ham breeds Tetratania. They have so many of them over there, and they came from the ones that I had, where they couldn't make a ruling. Great snake. I don't think it's the most beautiful snake, but back in the day, it got all the attention, of course. But so
Wow. It's funny you say that too, because like the story that we all hear about the Tetratania in captivity in Europe and Canada is that they're old zoo stock from like the 50s. And so it makes you wonder like
well,
if
some of them are my stock. I know that for a fact. So
yeah.
there were three generations that went to the guy in England, and I know some of those made it into Germany and stuff. So
Yeah, that's really
um,
interesting. It makes you wonder if mine are from you originally, right? Like, and you know what? I'm always been one for like kind of like I like brown, I like gray, I like green. Like those are my colors for reptiles, but I mean people love those things. You know what I mean? Like people go crazy for the blue and red, and I get it. I do, but for me it's always
well,
been
there's so many others. There's uh, um, I'm a big fan, and I'm not the smartest guy in the world. I think what brings me to the table is that I've probably kept more species of snakes in captivity than anyone I know. Maybe Tommy Crutchfield could challenge that, but I don't. I've did venomous for 50 years, mostly in crotalids, and uh, back into clubrids because they're easy. And I'm a guy that loves it all. I'm not one dimensional, so I'm really lucky to like it all. But did boas and pythons, did a lot of stuff. So just hanging around, you learn a lot. Doesn't mean I'm that smart, but had a lot of stuff in collections.
yeah, for sure. Yo, I believe it, and you have a bit of a reputation. So like you're like people when people talk about Craig Trumbower, it's a lot of the time it's in like they talk pretty highly about you, man. Like you've
Well, I
love
listen.
you.
Listen. First of all, I really appreciate that. It's very nice, and you guys, people have used terms like icon and all these kind of things, and I don't take those too seriously, but it's appreciated. I have to say, I don't do it for those reasons. Never have. In fact, I was kind of behind the scenes for years and years because I just was into what I was doing and trying to figure out how to breed certain things. And it was a smaller community, 40, 50 years ago. Listen, my phone bill was terrible. I mean, calling people on the West Coast and um, trying to make trades, and there were no shows. We didn't know how to breed that much, so it's been kind of my pleasure to sit back and watch all of this come to where it is today and come to fruition. And I'm a big defender of herpetoculture. I think we've contributed a lot of things. We've shown herpetology that Um, we can save endangered species. Hamilton's pond turtle was down to 50, I think, and now there's like thousands of them because they've been captive bred. And what that does is that when you can buy something through herpetoculture, um, it takes the burden off raping wild populations, which at this point, there's so many things that need to be left where they are because, look, you can get them through herpetoculture. You may have to pay for them, but um, you know, um, I think we've just come a long way, and we don't get the credit for doing some of the good things that we do. There's the bad side of herpetoculture, but there's that in anything. So we have a responsibility to take care of our animals, and I think I preach a little bit about that in the second part of my book. Second part of my book is very different. The first part is a field guide, and it's very technical, and or as much as it can be for the size of the book. The second part of that book is a little tongue-in-cheek stuff about herpetoculture, what we do and don't do, and what we should do. And I'm a little preachy in there, but I have no problems with keeping snakes in captivity. I have no problems with breeding and selling snakes. People breed and sell dogs and cats and birds, and people have horses, and they bought those from somebody. So I can argue this, forever, but we do have a responsibility to take care of those things, whether you're raising lab mice or snakes, or you have Labrador retrievers or, horses. There is that responsibility. And I think a few of us fall short in that. And I'm one of the grumpy old guys that tells everybody to, maybe you have too many snakes if you can't take care of them.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's a good thing to actually talk about too, just because it can be an issue and people do I mean, like you were just saying, there's some bad apples out there, right? And there's some great people out there. Some of the greatest people I've ever met ever are out there. And you released 3 books, right? You're talking about your newest book right now?
Yes, yeah, the
Or
Pituophis book. The first two books,
this book right
I wrote, yeah, I wrote, yeah. The More Than Snake Hunting book was I wrote that for my family. Bob Ashley came to visit with some Australians, and when I lived out in West Texas, and asked what I was doing, and read a chapter and said he wanted to publish it.
hmm
So published that book, and then I did a second book called Even More Than Snake Hunting. Really not about snake hunting, but about just experiences and being around the hobby. And then the Pituophis book I turned down for 3 years. I didn't want to do it. I've got 7 years of college, but I'm not an academic, and I just didn't feel like I was the right person to do it. But through those 3 years, there's so much infighting on taxonomy uh, amongst the academics, Grismer and Robles and all these well-respected people, that I finally said, well, you know what? I mean, if they can't agree, I can jump in here. I've got an opinion, and I'll write it in a way that um, I'll leave it up to you. I'll try to present the data, and and I think it serves the purpose that it's intended. If people read the taxonomy chapter in the beginning and my preface, it lays out the purpose of the book, and I think we've done that. So hopefully, so it's selling really well, and leatherbound I think is sold out now. I have copies here. I've have some for I only do a couple shows a year. I do Daytona every year, and this year I'm going to do Colubrid Fest. I'm a guest up there, and
Nice.
gave me an award last year, and I wasn't there. I felt really bad that I wasn't there to receive it. It was a very generous award. Lifetime achievement award, which I kind of think when you're the oldest guy and you're about 10 steps from dead, you're going to get that one. So, but I really appreciate it. Zach and those guys were very nice. So we're going up there to do that one, and we'll take a few animals and some books, and do a little talking too.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I tried to get the leather bound and I was just a little too late, unfortunately. But I've been reading this book. I got a few things to talk about before we get right into the meat here. I
Sure.
think so Brennick does too. Not much at all. But I went to Craig, do you know who Ashley Dezan is?
Hmm. I
Ashley
can't say.
Dezan is she's one of our fellow Canadians, and she runs Northern Lights Reptile Imports. She's one of the best people I've ever met. She's
I don't know her. I certainly, that rings a bell now, through
yeah, she's
conversations.
fantastic. So she had to get a big get together of a bunch of Canadian keepers and whatnot, and we went and checked out her collection. First of all, that collection is amazing. Like the way she keeps her animals is so fantastic. But anyway, I had my airplane book here, and when I bought this book and got it in, one of the first things I did was kind of flip through it, right? Because I'm excited to see all the pictures, right? I heard
Well,
someone
I
said the
think we all
pictures.
are.
Yeah, and
To be
first
honest,
thing I did was flip through it, and I told my fiance, like, this is a special book. And I don't just say that because of you or because the book is big and cool and has awesome pictures. It really is a special book, and I think you did something really special with this, and it's something that people are going to be referring to long after all of us are gone, I think, because it really is a special piece of literature. And if people haven't heard of this book, or are listening and not watching, The Complete Guide to Pine Snakes, Bull Snakes, and Gopher Snakes, a reference for the identification, care, and breeding of snakes in the genus Pituophis by Craig W. Trumbower, uh, with friends, is really, you guys did an awesome job with it, everybody. And it's clear too that this wasn't only a labor of love, but you had a team behind it. You the
Oh,
whole thing as well.
absolutely,
Like, and you
absolutely.
make that very obvious, and it's
I
everybody
had
did such an awesome job.
a lot of good friends. A lot of people stepped up. Uh, a number of PhDs and people jumped right in. I mean, made me feel really good. And Jerry Salmon jump started with me and did a lot. And Jordan Parrott did the graphics and jumped in, did a very difficult job to do the mapping because I was very particular. I wanted a full page map. The old Conant guides, you look in the back and you got that tiny little map and you got all these X's and stars and crosses, and you go, what is this? I can't even see this. And even at your age. So I said, how about a full page map? And we'll try to bring it up to date as much as we possibly can. There's always going to be that guy walking some valley up in Washington and claims to see a deserticola or something out of space or something. But we went with the data that we had. I think Jordan did a very good job with that. And to that point, I took a step back and did 19 species and subspecies back at a time where we could agree in things and the ctenophore chain was all together. And now, some taxonomists want only 6 species and subspecies. And the phylogenetics is changing as we speak and is a very important tool. But for me, when you discount morphology and zoogeography and just make it about that, there's some flaws there, and we don't have it right yet. So I took a step back and did it in a way that you can read all the data and you can decide where you want to be on this taxonomic nightmare. So, we can't even really agree on species, the
Yeah.
definition of that. I'm old school. I like species and subspecies. It breaks things down, and not just by color or pattern, but and I go into some of that in there. I talk about structure of heads and some of that sort of thing. And but I kind of leave it to you guys. If I didn't present things like all the insular forms being separate and they're all clumped into, mainland forms, new people coming into the hobby or into herpetology would never even know what fulginatus is or some of these terms because now they're left by the wayside. And I think it's important to have that history and to know that. And then as phylogenetics and DNA gets even better, I think truer stories will be told. I mean, right now I feel like there's some of the DNA, and I understand some somatic and mitochondrial DNA, but I don't claim to understand it all. But certainly there's selected criteria used in DNA. You see one focal point, you ignore all the other markers, and you go, oh, these things are the same, so we're going to make them the same. But it's kind of like, we need to take a step back, take our time, and do this right. So, so anyway, I put it out there, and so far, it's been fairly well received, and it for what the book is intended to be. It can't be a triest on. You could do 10,000 pages on Pituophis, and you just, this is 450 pages, and so I think it serves a purpose. I hope it does. It's a lot of work to do a book, unless it's kind of a 5-year thing, 3 years of working on it, and 5,000 pictures from a lot of generous people. A lot of people upset their picture didn't make the book, and 500 out of 5,000 is hard to choose, and but had a lot of help. A lot of people stepped up, and I hope there's something there for the novice all the way to the PhD.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And that comes across when reading it too. For reference, if anybody's thinking, I don't have pine snakes or gophers, etc. I only have one. Me personally, I only have one Pituophis. I have a Kentucky Northern from a friend that they gifted to me. The book's worth it. Like, even if I didn't have the one pine snake that I do have, I think that the book is worth
we
it.
had the right pine snake.
Right? They're cool, eh?
My cover photo of my big pine. I have a 50-year history of looking for these things. I went to college in Kentucky. I spent 4 years looking for them up back in the late 60s, early 70s, using data from University of Kentucky old pickles, and up around Mammoth Cave. Never found them. And of course, Will Bird and some of the guys, Phil Peak. It took them like 17 years to come up with 3 of them.
Yeah.
And a pair. So, it's a rare population, and they're pretty. It's disjunct, and so it's a big thing for me. And I was gifted my pair early by Phil and Howie Sherman, and as a gift. And I love the hell out of them. So,
Yeah,
but I will say, my male is 7.5 and will push 8, I'm sure. It's a lot of work. As you know, just with one big pine snake, it's a lot of food. It's a lot of Pituophis shit,
mine's not even full grown, and it's a lot of that stuff. Like, mine's
Well,
only
it
like
is.
2 years old.
So people that have collections of 50 to 100 pits, I take my hats off to them. It takes a lot of care and work to do that, and but they're very special snakes. They're a huge, big Nearctic North American snake that, and of course down to Mexico, Central America, but they need to be protected more. We're running out of habitat and genetic corridors and that sort of thing. You see those problems, but luckily, Pituophis is well established in herpetocultural communities, and you can get everything right up to Laniaticolus gibsoni, which there's 4 clutches on the ground this year, which is really good. So
fantastic.
So the Guatemalan gopher snake, for those.
Yeah, they're a cool snake, and I'd like to get more, but maybe I'll get some of the little smaller ones down the line. We'll see.
You're a garter snake. You're a garter snake guy. I mean, the thing is, garter snakes are so high metabolic. I mean,
That's
they're
true.
eaters and shitters, and there's a lot of work there. They're just not 6 foot things. Now,
yeah,
I had indigos for a long time. I love them. I think one of the greatest snakes in the world, but one of the few snakes that I almost challenge people. Very hard to put in captivity because they're like a garter snake. They're high metabolic. They eat a lot. They shit a lot. They need a lot of room, and some people can do it. But you step back into Pituophis, a little slower metabolics and things. But
yeah. You know what? So I have the garter snakes, lots of Nerodia, and I keep Natrix. I'm a big Natricine guy. I have.
It's very cool that you do that too. It's
I
very few
appreciate
people.
it.
Tim Spuckler does, and
Yeah,
and, and a lot of guys, and Oh my gosh, I could have a whole water snake collection,
Oh
and like
yeah.
I say, I love it all. There
Yeah.
just isn't anything um, out there that I look. I like locality specific. I like morphs as long as we're not hybridizing and creating things. Um, the morph thing is, I talk about this a lot. The more thing, all we're doing, we're not making the genes. We just fast forward them together,
Hmm.
and we see what happens. And I think that's okay as long as people are honest and it's kept in a herpetocultural community. I don't see a problem with that. And I'm a locality guy too, and I challenge some locality people that they'll say to me. I mean, they look at I have a corn snake. It's a pure corn snake, and it's green. It's lime green. Chromatophore has gone wild. How that happens, I don't know, but I'm going to find out. I got my first clutch of eggs, and we'll see what happens. But uh, for those that kind of poo-poo the morph guys, and you know how that goes. You got the morph crowd, and you got ball python crowd, and everybody's kind of like, oh, it's just this, just that. I tell everybody, just take a deep breath. Come on, get over it. Nothing wrong with the ball python. I couldn't tell you half of these morphs, but I go over and look at them, and
Hmm.
I go, how does that color work into a scheme of a ball python? It's very fascinating to me. And I think Gregor Mendel, who worked with peas, would be delighted to see all this stuff. It'd be a little more
Oh
interesting
yeah.
than people.
He'd be a ball python guy, I think.
Well, yeah, so you don't have to have a collection of them. I mean, I had ball pythons back when they came in at 4.5, 5 footers, and even saw one close to 6 feet. We called them royal pythons, and they came in to the animal houses in South Florida, and ticks on them, big snakes. You never see that, in these smaller animals. But so anyway, back to the locality thing. So I challenge people. I tell them we'll use an Okatee corn snake. I've bred Okatees for years. I hunted Okatee Club back in the day and everything, and um, so I have direct lineage hunt club provable locality Okatees. But I've line bred them for 40 years. And when you breed things, you guys, when you breed something and you look at that group of babies and the hatchlings, you go, ooh, I'm keeping that one. That's a 10. We hold the 10 back. We want that 10. But in reality, if you're really breeding a true locality, you're keeping the 5. You're keeping the average look of that locality. And we just can't do it. I can't do it. You guys probably can't do it. We keep the best things and we use them for our breeders. Nothing wrong with that. But I think people need to take a little step back and they will follow themselves and say, well, I don't do the more thing. I'm just a locality guy. Well, I mean, are you really? Are you really just representing the true look? Okatee corns were the south eastern coastal plain corn snakes are very pretty snakes, but you will never find corn snakes like Okatees that I'm breeding, and Howie Sherman and other people, Kathy Love, bred them, and that look like the ones you see now.
Yeah.
It's human nature, and there's nothing wrong with that. People want to buy color and pattern, and it's herpetoculture. And I try to get people to relax and uh, remember, we these are snakes in a box. We're not. When people say, "Well, I want mine to be wild weight and wild and everything else," don't confuse captive snakes with wild snakes because they're not. They're just not. All you can do is take good care of them, give them enough room, and feed them right. So that's kind of in an attempt to get everybody to get over themselves and just relax, enjoy the hobby, and take care of their animals. And in the meantime, a lot of good comes out of it because we're not raping what's out there, anymore. Most of us aren't.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a good thing to think about, especially these days as things kind of get more there's people are infighting. Meanwhile, I don't know, I see it, I've always kind of seen it as one hobby, and there's different facets and interests, but at the same time we're doing the same thing as each other for the most part, you know what I mean? So to take my ball python collection and say my collection is better than, this garter collection because they're ball pythons is silly to me. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. What do I know?
Well, no. Here's my speech, and I speak about this all the time. So I think what separates someone like myself and some of the older guys who've been around for a long time, and some of the newer guys, you walk around your show and you look at the guy's name and you go, "Hey, Bob, how's the show been for you?" And they're sitting there with their legs crossed, looking at their phone, and don't even lift their head up and don't say hi to anybody. Never give a kid a snake, and they go, "Not very good. I think it's dead." And those people lack something, and that what they lack is passion. Listen, we kept snakes before we traded snakes. There was no buying and selling and shows and things, and you either have that passion or you don't. I mean, I'm 77 and I get really excited to see just common stuff poke a nose through an egg. And I'm in the backyard and I see a gray rat snake. I just think it's so cool. And I'm really still, and luckily so, very passionate about all of it. And we're missing some of that today. It becomes either big business, and good luck with that. Don't quit your day job to get rich overnight by, selling snakes at snake shows. A few people have done it, but it's, that's a hard go. I enjoy the hobby, and you still see younger guys like you guys that are passionate. They get really excited about something. You get something new in the collection, something you wanted for a long time. Man, makes your day, makes your week. You get wives and girlfriends and best friends and whoever look at you like you're nuts, man. That makes you so happy. it's the only way you can say is, I'm just passionate about it. So
Yeah.
I think a little bit of that's lacking today. So I try to get people to if you stand up and talk to people about what you see in a snake and what you like, and I tell the story at every podcast. So I'll make it quick. A few years ago in Daytona, we're looking across the hall and we see this guy walk in. And guy, 6'10", 6'11", maybe 7 feet. And when you see somebody that tall, you just take notice.
Yeah.
And I told my wife, Linda, I said, "Wow, look at this guy. Look how tall he is." And it's way across the hall. And he starts walking. He's walking our direction, keeps walking. He walks right up to my table, from the doorway to my table. And I looked up and I went, "Wow, we were just looking at you." And he goes, "Yeah, I know I'm really tall." He said, "And no, I didn't play basketball, but I know you, Mr. Trumbower." And I went, "Wow. Well, I would remember you. I don't remember you." I'd remember. He goes, "Well, I was a little kid here with my mom years ago, and you had some Okatee corn snakes on your table, and we couldn't afford them at the time. And you gave me a pair. And I just wanted to let you know that I just got my PhD in herpetology and accepted a professorship. I'm in town at a conference. I've got to go back, but I saw that you were here and I wanted to come over and say thank you." And he walked out and went back.
Wow.
And brought tears to my eyes. And you never know the impact that you can have on somebody by some human kindness in this hobby and doing something. So if you take the time to speak at a school or take something off your table, give it to that kid. I mean, these people pay a fortune to get into the show now, and look at a lot of these people. They're on a limited budget, and pets and animals are important to them. So help a kid out once in a while. You do that, and you'll develop a lifetime of customers and people to come back with you. Most of my sales are they're not from shows. I don't ship. I don't do any of that anymore. I mean, people call me up that don't want to go to a show and they don't want to see all the strange people on what I call the Planet Snake Tune, which I love everybody in it. I don't care. I had a braid for years. I don't care. Long hair, short hair, gay, straight, purple, pink. I don't care. As long as you're a kind human being, that's who we all are. And, I've got some pretty stiff old customers, and they get from me. But that was built on customer base by educating and being kind and being honest and doing those things. And if you're passionate about this and you do that and you remember those things, um, trust me, it's a great hobby, and you can pay for that hobby and have a little extra money in the jar and have fun and meet some good people.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Emphasis on meeting great people. Like I was just telling you guys a little bit ago, coming back from a big Canadian herp guy event with a bunch of the people around the Manitoba, Ontario. We had people from Alberta and BC come over. It was amazing, and to see everybody like that was such a fantastic experience. I'd love to do more stuff like that again because I didn't when I was younger, and now that I'm young, I'd like to do it some more for sure. But I don't want to change the subject
Look,
too
we were young.
much.
I was in the field when I
Yeah,
was young. You couldn't get me out of the field. I
I'm
mean,
trying. I'm trying my best,
every
man. I
minute
really
I
am.
had out of work, man, I was walking around in some jungle in Florida or somewhere in South Carolina or West Texas, and have so many stories. Um, but it's more than that.
Yeah.
It's really a camaraderie. It's a lifetime. I have lifetime friends at this age now that, gosh, I wouldn't trade for anything in the world. And um, you know, years ago, as a fifth grade teacher who challenged me because I was bragging about killing a snake and had me do a book report, has brought me a lifetime of just so much joy and opportunities to learn and meet so many really good people.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Brennick is here with us today, and I want to quickly say Brennick can't get too much into it, but just to give an idea of this is one passionate guy. Brennick, something happened to you today, and you almost weren't here. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It was a great experience. My bus got hit by a transport truck, uh, but I can't go into much detail because the driver of the truck fled and there was a criminal investigation underway.
Wow,
Yeah,
wow.
but you were in the hospital today.
Yes,
He
yes, indeed.
he texted me like an hour before we were supposed to record and was like, "Oh yeah, how's your day going?" I'm like, "What the hell? Like I'm gonna be talking to you in an hour. What's this guy texting me about?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm in the hospital. I got hit by a transport truck." I was like,
Well, Brennick,
"But he's
that
here."
explains a lot. I'm looking at you as a real quiet guy, but you got your head banged around a little bit today, and
Yeah, he got
uh,
rattled up.
yeah,
Yeah, got my bell rung a little bit.
when you've been in an accident, it can really do that to you.
Yeah.
And yeah, you need to be careful, um, and hopefully you got checked out, and you know signs and symptoms to look for and stuff. The medical part of me never leaves, so you know you need to take care of yourself. And
Hmm.
um, I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, I wouldn't miss it for the world.
I
That's
told him
Well,
like
if he didn't come, he'd be fired. So
it's the passion, man. I love this stuff.
yeah, yeah. Well, you know, there's a lot worse things in the world, and I tell people, um, you know, look. I had my day back in the 20s and 30s, and I did my share of drugs and other things. And the one constant thing, though, that brought me free and into the real world was my passion for snakes. And so I think it's a good thing, and you have to learn how to share that with special people in your lives. I think there's a little bit of humor in the backside of that book talking about um, what to bring into your house and your refrigerator and your freezer and all these things. How to do it and how not to do it if you want to keep a relationship. You know.
yeah, yeah, I'm experiencing that firsthand. Ah, shit. My
Well,
fiance
I
is
you know
like not into it, but she's really great where she's like curious, asks questions, and she is interested. She came from
being
like never seeing a snake in her life to all of a sudden living with me and being like, "Oh my God, like what the
well, of
hell's going
course.
on here?"
Think about it. We're a strange lot. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, it's a deal breaker. When I brought Linda over to my place the first time, and I opened the door, And I said, well, there's something I got to tell you. I'm kind of into this stuff, and opened the door, and I'm sure
Like
it's
Ace
just going to be
Ventura's does.
another one to run away, you know. And she said, cool, what is this? And I got lucky. And so, yeah, you really have to kind of share your passion and what you see, and bring those people into it slowly, and hopefully, it'll take you a lot of places that are not just about snakes. And I think some of the strongest relationships I've seen are ones around our Ophidian friends. So
Yeah.
hopefully that works out for you guys.
I
Yeah.
firmly
Yeah.
believe that my wife is with me because for one of our earlier dates, I brought her to my house, and in my bedroom, I had a massive enclosure with a black and white tegu, and she's like, "What is that?" I'm like, "Take them out."
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's a whole new world, and you have to go slowly. I mean, when you think about it, uh, the common person says, "You have a house full of what? Snakes?"
Yeah.
It's a troubling concept for people who don't know and have a fear, and for me, who had venomous for so long and permits and everything, and I did it right and carefully as I could, but I understand. I mean, if you lived down the road and said the guy next to me, has got a couple king cobras and got rattlesnakes, it sounds extremely strange, and it is strange. But like anything else, I mean, it's my passion, and if you do things right, and you're not walking around the neighborhood, with a leash on a 28-foot retic or something, you can kind of bring people into things slowly. But we do have that in the industry as well. We've got the people that just have to free handle stuff, venomous stuff, and
Mm.
it's that show off part, and it doesn't do any of us any good. We have more and more laws, in this country, falling just by the wayside every day. I mean, uh, um, uh, not the laws. I mean, creating new laws that have some of the things that we cherish go by the wayside um, because of a few that do that sort of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's definitely become more of a trend these days. One thing I want to just quickly mention while it's on my in my mind about what we were talking about with our significant others and people in our lives. My collection here is pretty tame. Like I'm a garter snake guy, I'm a water snake guy.
Mhm.
I aside from whatever drug is in that musk, it's pretty laid back. All right, like I don't have anything insane. I have a Crebo that's like old as dirt, and some other the my pine snake which guards his turds, that kind of thing. But aside from that, my collection is pretty laid back. So my fiance, her introduction to this thing was very laid back. She didn't know me when I was a zookeeper and keeping venomous and had some crazier stuff. I mean, I have the Cayman down here because we do educational programs, but aside from that, it's super laid back. And then, like I've said, we went to Ashley's, and her collection's a little different than mine because she's living with Edward, who's a Crebo keeper and an
Mhm.
indigo keeper, and and then she keeps a lot of the like Chinese false cobras and a lot of these the
Mhm.
boiga and rear fang stuff, like beautiful animals. And we're there, and we're all used to that stuff, and she's never seen anything like it. So they take out their little Japanese king rat snake, which is one of my favorite snakes in the world. I would love one, and it's acting
And
normal. It's
until
acting
it
normal.
musks on you, yeah.
Oh, they're beautiful. And then it kind of comes down and then it just latches onto my hand. It's a little thing, it's not big. And let's go. And we giggle about it and put it away, whatever. And Kayla's horrified. She's like,
Of
did
course,
he not
of course.
notice? Like, why aren't they like paying attention? We take out this Chinese, I'm pretty sure it was a Chinese false cobra, and it's full on hooded and it's got these beautiful red markings on its neck, and we're like, wow, it's such a beautiful snake. Kayla sees a cobra, right? She sees this thing hooding up and
Of course.
it's acting defensive, and she's like, what's wrong with these people? We go into the Crebo room. The Crebos are all laid back with their very fast snakes, and they're all pretty young, so they're handling fine, but they're quick. Well, she sees these, bigger than a garter snake, even though they're babies, moving so fast. She's like, it's like a house of horrors here. And then they've got the black dragon water monitors and stuff like that. It was really funny to see her get introduced to a reptile keeper's collection that wasn't my collection, because, like I said, my collection's garter snakes, like, and water snakes. Like, there's nothing that crazy here. And then to go to something like that where it's a little
Well,
bit,
Braden, not to interrupt, but to that
yeah, go ahead.
note, you're talking about pretty laid back. I wrote about it in my first book. My dad was killed in an accident when I was 11. He was a World War II P-51 pilot, very celebrated, and it kind of put me in a funk. Snakes pulled me out of that, and I had a great mom that kind of encouraged the hobby. She would take me out Fort Lauderdale out west on 84 and Old State Road 27. It was had canals on both sides for like hundreds of miles, and some of the biggest green water snakes back in the 50s and
Oh, nice.
60s. True 5-footers. I mean,
Yeah.
that would have 70 babies. Bass fishermen used to walk along 27, picking them up in pails to use for bass bait. There were just so many, but we would grab those things by the tail, pull them up, throw them between our Levi's, and then cross our legs and then pull them out to grab their head. But the point of this is, if you've ever been bitten by a 4.5-foot green water snake with fish teeth, yeah, let me tell you, you'll remember that one. So,
Yeah,
so
I'm looking forward to the day where I can keep green water snakes. Right now, the closest thing I have is the diamondbacks, and my females are about 4 feet. So but they still have kind of a little head. They're getting there, but they don't have that
have you had
big, like,
browns?
mushy. No, I don't have browns. All the browns in Canada are gone. I don't think there's any left.
Yeah. Well, so, some of the ones that we have down here are still actually right around where I live in Tallahassee, in Florida, in the river systems, are quite large and
Yeah, they get
can
huge.
actually be very attractive. Some of
Mm.
them, have tan and chocolate and orange colors and stuff. But that's another very big, heavy-bodied water snake.
Yeah, I like those guys a lot. I would love to keep them, and I know some people have had a hard time with those two species. I'd love to
Mhm.
try them one day. I like the big green, big brown, that kind of thing. I just got some Nerodia from Chris there at Dark Horse Herpetoculture. So I got some plain belly waters, some Florida bandeds, and
Cool.
a broad banded water um, that was a surprise, but yeah, I'm super excited. I love those guys. Water snakes are,
You could have a collection of 100, and each pair could be different.
oh
There's
yeah,
just so much to like, and we focus in herpetoculture on a handful of snakes, and there's so many out of the box species and subspecies that are so cool, and I try to introduce people to some of that kind of stuff.
yeah,
I think a lot of people in herpetoculture go through that thing of wanting to wear a badge of having the coolest snake, or having a pair of the newest coolest thing, and that's okay. But golly, there's so much stuff right in front of you. I mean, my collection now is colubrids and a lot of common stuff, and I've had a lot of really cool rare stuff, and but the few people I'll have come in, they'll come in and go, I know they're looking like, where's the cool stuff, Craig? And what I want to say is, well, you're looking at it. All
yeah,
this common stuff, all this stuff is really the cool stuff. You can go full circle and walk out back and find a gopher snake or find something that's golly, just give it some time. Take a look at it. Look what we got. We have a whole world full of species and subspecies, and we've just scratched the surface of a few things. And I'd like to see that kind of grow and expand. So I'm always stopping at tables when you see something different.
yeah.
It's very cool. So
And
yeah,
that's one of the reasons why I started doing the Natrix, because like I love that entire subfamily, but like nobody in Canada was doing Natrix, and even the
do you know
States. I
Jim
think
Stuckler?
I've spoken to him, yeah, and like I wanted to
He's
bring in
got
some of his Backward.
yeah, he's got quite a collection.
Yeah, he has some
Quite a
beautiful
collection.
stuff. Stephen Bolt,
Yeah,
I was talking to him over in Netherlands. I think he's located at, and like just some phenomenal animals through for both of them. Like jealous for sure.
hey, Brennick, what do you keep?
I have some Suriname BCCs, a couple of BCI morphs, and few retics.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah. So we kind of have I really liked the idea of bringing Brannick on too because we kind of have different like I love boas but we have very like he's got way more constrictors than I've got and so I thought it would brought a really cool kind of duo like a dynamic between us where he's got his stuff. He's obsessed with Cyclera too. He loves his Cyclera, don't you, Brannick?
Oh
yeah,
man.
that's my dream.
Well, Lewis eye, the big red eye on
Mm-hmm.
those things. And,
Those are nice.
oh,
I
they're
like
beautiful.
I like
I saw
the
them in the wild
Wiley eye. Oh, you
back
saw
in
them
the
in the
day.
wild. That's
Back in the day.
incredible.
Yeah, yeah. We did all those insular things. I was kind of a big Tropodova guy. I don't know what they're called now, but all of the little boas and stuff. And oh my gosh, I had a collection of that stuff and so many insular things around the Caribbean and stuff. Very cool. So, do you know Bob Clark? If you're into retics, the original
Yeah,
guy.
I do know Bob Clark, like not on a personal level, but I follow him on Facebook.
Yeah, been around a long time. A good friend. He actually bought the first albino Burmese that came in through Tommy, and then do you have the new retic book that's out? Eco. I think Eco published it, but I think Russ Gurley. I think Russ Gurley published that. It's an amazing book. There's so many different phenotypes in the wild of retics. Some I've never even seen. It's a fascinating book. You should look into that. I think it's a very good book worth
Who's
having.
the author? I'm gonna purchase
I
that.
actually, well, I don't want to go back in there. I will. I'll send you. Right, I'll send you the link and all that to it and the
Sounds good.
cover. Yeah, it's
Great.
very good, very well done. The like we said before, I'm not in the giant intellectual club, so the pictures work fine. It's full of really cool pics, and it's
I
got
like it.
got some good reading too. So, but it's very well done. Russ did a very good job on it. So, a shout out to him and I think Bob published it, or maybe Russ published it. Russ publishes a lot of his own too. Russ Gurley did the layout of my book and does most of the layouts for Bob Ashley and Eco Publishing. So you get to work with a whole team when you do a book, which is interesting dynamics in the middle of the night when nobody can agree on stuff. So
Yeah, big time.
I'm embarrassed to admit it, but I have one zoological book, which
uh-huh.
I have up here, and then I have Richard Crowley's Blood Python book, and that's it. I do a lot of audiobooks.
Well, and your generation does,
Yeah.
which brings and nothing wrong with that. And listen, I understand that, and everything's in handheld devices, and I'm just a old curmudgeon that likes to turn pages and get ink on his fingers and smell old pages, and I love books, but it's a dying thing, and for a publisher to take like the Pituophis book. It costs thousands of dollars, $40,000, $50,000, just layout, to do something. And then there's so many people involved. It's now you have to charge, and with tariffs, thanks to our friend, with tariffs, I mean, my book costs $70. We'd hoped it'd be 50, but the whole China thing and people, and to that point, people say, well, why didn't you publish, in this country? Well, we did publish in this country, but the best printing and print houses in the world are in China. That's just a fact. The best paper it's because of the cost of labor. And they can produce a beautiful book. I'm very pleased with how my book turned out. It's very well done. It's a great paper. It's very, very well done. The leatherbound was done that way too. And it was done affordable, but still $70 for a book. When you can go online or you can pick something up and read it, for pennies on the dollar, it is dying, and I'm sure pretty soon it'll all go away. Unfortunately, it is what it is. But yeah, it's a very tough go to have backing and to have a publisher. I mean, you can go to a publishing house and self-publish, and they'll tell you how great your book is because they want your money. You've got to pay everything. They'll publish anything.
Mm.
But when you have somebody that stands behind you and has all the expense, um, that's pretty hard to do. And I'm very grateful for a whole team that stepped up to the plate. So I'm lucky. I'm lucky. I'm like I said, I'm not sure I'm the guy to write any book, but I did. So so sometimes you just do. You know.
Yeah. You know what's funny too is when I was, I don't know, 18 or 19, I started kind of like playing with the idea of writing a garter snake book. And I started it, and I spent about 2 years writing the thing, and then it took a break because of a few reasons. I moved up north, and then I went through kind of like a personal issue, and then it took a back seat for a few years, and then I started again, and then something happened with the file, and I'm technologically inadequate, so I lost the entire book essentially. And I was able to get bits and pieces of it back, and I have it. And then, you know, I hear you talk, and I see your book, and I'm kind of like, maybe I'm not the guy, because like you say this.
Braden, write the book.
Oh my
Write,
God.
write the book. Listen. Nothing worth doing is easy.
Mm,
And I'm not going to pick on you guys, but a lot of you guys, you want the easy way out, and
yep.
sometimes there just isn't. So
Mm,
suck it up. I look. I worked 60-hour weeks, was on call 24/7. I'd come home, work in a snake room till 2 or 3, get back up at 6, and do it all over again. And that didn't kill me. I wasn't homeless. I wasn't having bombs dropped on me. That was my choice, and uh, easy to do. So the point is that you can do it if you have that passion and you want to do it for yourself.
mm-hmm.
Complete that book. There's nothing greater than when you finish it and you've done it yourself, whether it's published or not. It's a tremendous feeling,
Yeah.
and I'd encourage you to pick that thing back up and get in there and do it. Look, I mean, everybody has something to say, but the people that actually go ahead and get it done and do it and put it out on paper, you got to have big shoulders. And uh, you know, you're always going to have criticism, and some of it's earned. I've got big shoulders. If people can say I like your book, they can also say I don't like your book, and
Mm-hmm.
that's okay. Be kind and be nice about it. I mean, there's always a few people, and usually I reserve the speech for those few. I just simply look at them and I go, I say, "Excuse me, the title of your book is what?" Because
Yeah.
Exactly.
they didn't write a book. It takes a lot. It takes a lot. And luckily, like I said, I had help with Jerry Salmon and so many other people. It was a community effort, to get it done. And you'll find, if you include those people, that they're really forthcoming and want you to succeed and help you out. So, hey, keep those pages turning, man, with that ink. And Brennick, I'm probably going to leave my whole damn book collection to you, since you only have one book. I'm going to shame you into the page turning world, my friend.
I have a collection of books that aren't herpetologically related.
Yeah, well, you damn sure better buy my book, kid.
I'm gonna. I was gonna say right after this, you're gonna have an order.
I'm going to have
It's worth
Braden
it. It's worth it.
scan your place next time, and I want to see that book on the shelf.
Next podcast we do, I'm gonna hold it up if it comes in time. But
There you
when it comes, I'm gonna be like, here, Craig.
There you go. Thank you.
It is worth it, dude. It is an awesome, like, it is a
I'm
fucking awesome book.
I'm
I've been
not
having a blast.
trying to toot your horn here, but I've heard so many great things about your book. It's silly I don't have it yet.
Well, there's a few mistakes in there, and I'll readily say Bob Assey's published a lot of books, and he's never had one book where you can't find something. Mine went through 10 edits, and when you edit and read your book so many times, no matter how good it might be, you hate it. At the end, you go, I hate my book. I can't stand my book. I've read it so many times, and when you're reading it, you're seeing the same mistakes, but you're not really seeing the mistakes. And other editors can pick those up. Mine went through science edits, certainly with really credible people. Dr. Gordy Schuett, that I've known for a long time, did a science in it, but a few things did slip through. Unfortunately, nothing major. But those kind of things happen. And anyway, I for the most part, at least my name's spelled right. So that's your biggest fear, right?
Yeah. No, it's like it's definitely been added to my list of favorites. I'm gonna say you're tied as number one, probably. I really do love this book. My favorite book of all time is this guy here. This is an older one, The Garter Snakes. I'm a Garter Snake
Great,
nerd.
great
But
book.
like it's actually, in some ways, your book actually reminds me of it, which is one of the reasons why I liked it so much. Like I said, The Garter Snakes is a little bit of a older book now, but there's still great stuff in there. They call it the Garter Snake Bible in our neck
I
of the
have
woods. Yeah, it's a fantastic book. The Nerodia one's really good too. It's a lot newer, but it's really good too. You know what? One of my favorite parts has been in your book so far, Craig, is you going through how you build enclosures. I know you're a woodworker and whatnot. I am not. I try to be, and I get frustrated, and I'm like the worst at it. But I've been trying really hard in the last 3-4 years to build my own enclosures and do a lot of stuff more DIY. A lot of it's mostly due to, I think that a lot of the enclosures that I can buy don't suit how I want to keep. So I need to do it myself, kind of thing. But
Braden, in my book there, I give a step by step.
Yeah.
How to make my cages are wood. I laminated the bottoms. Are going on 50 years old, and they look brand new.
They do.
And I take care of them. I build them for venomous. They're double mesh, double screen stuff, but I use them for everything. I like to view my snakes through glass. I like to walk in that room with a cup of coffee in the morning or a cocktail in the afternoon, or maybe 2 in the evening. I don't know, but I love to see the interaction, what's going on inside that tank. And you learn a lot as well. I mean, we all have some drawers that we pull in and pull out of necessity, but the real thrill is to be able to watch your snakes. You learn so much. They'll tell you what they need if you watch them and pay attention to them. So it's worth getting into it. You don't have to be a woodworker. You can do things. Those cages that I diagrammed in the book and in the second part of the book, and how to make them, are pretty simple, but they'll last you a lifetime if you do them right.
Mm-hmm.
And you can adapt them to any size, but that's just my preference. And of course, a lot of that was done out of necessity, because there were no hide boxes, there were no cages, there were you did everything yourself. Back in the 60s and 70s, there was no product to buy for anything with reptiles. You had to figure it out yourself. So,
Yeah.
pretty much like how to breed snakes and how to hatch eggs, and it was yeah, it was quite a time back then.
I can only imagine. Yes, like
Oh, I just crazy stuff. I mean, we take it for granted today, but oh my gosh, it's you know. The conversations late at night with Lloyd Lemke and a lot of people on the West Coast and stuff say, how do you think we set these eggs up, or how do we do this, or how do we do that? Because there just wasn't anything in literature, and zoological people really didn't want to share too much with the public. I mean, I kind of get that, but um, luckily I had some zoo friends that were pretty good, and even back then they weren't breeding stuff. They were keeping stuff, but people just weren't breeding stuff.
yeah. Yeah, it's the I have never, nor will I ever experience anything like that, because the time simply, I think, here, and especially the Western world, no longer exists, right? Like, it's much easier than it was before all you guys were trying to figure out how the hell to do it all. The closest thing I will ever get to that is when I moved as far north as I did. It's just me up here, and I had to figure some stuff out, but still I have luxuries of shipping, and I have luxuries of speaking on the internet with people like you and Brennick and other friends who can walk me through stuff that I've never done. But like, that is the closest, and even that was difficult. So like, to go back to then, when it was like, okay, how do we hatch these eggs, would be like, I'd be like so fucking lost. Like, I could not imagine.
Hey, listen. I caught a years ago. I tell a story. I was in Gainesville. I graduated. I was substitute teaching and trying to get in graduate school, and it was Gainesville, and it was University of Florida, and it was early '70s, and it was Tom Petty, and back then, not the Heartbreakers, but Mudcrutch in a local band, and we were all stoned 24/7 and smoking a lot of good shit and doing mushrooms and everything else. And after a year of that, you wake up and you go, I got to get a life and a degree in JOB, and you leave that life behind. But golly, back then, I was living in Gainesville, and I caught this huge gray rat snake. There was a hole in an oak tree, and I pulled myself up, and I was eyeball to eyeball with this giant coiled gray rat snake. And I put my head back down. I went, golly. And I reached up and grabbed the snake and pulled it down, and was just shocked at how big it was. And she was full of eggs. She was gravid. And I took her home, and she laid 32 eggs. And I hatched them all. I kept one pair, and I took all the rest back to that same place where she was coiled, and put all the babies back in there. But when I hatched them, I said to myself, well, how am I going to hatch these? So I said, I guess they need some warmth, and they need some moisture. So I would take newspaper, and I'd make this mulch, this gooey mulch with my hands, ink all over your hands, because newspaper is wood, and it can produce heat, moisture. And I make this gruel basically, and I put the eggs in there and covered them up, and they hatched. So it was pretty primitive. And now we have, and I speak to this a little bit in the book, we have $10,000 tissue incubators with clubbered eggs in them to hatch, and that's okay. It's okay. But you know what, folks? It's a little moisture and a little heat. Now, there are some very specific snakes and some boas and pythons that require a little bit more, but those two components. I still do the same thing I've been doing for 50 years, basically. I've made a few changes, but it's to start out back then is there just wasn't anyone to ask. How do you do this? And I did notice with that big gray rat snake up there that is in the hole of this oak tree, and there was just a lot of decayed bark and material up in there, and it was moist and it was wet. So, it made sense. And you knew something about alligator eggs back then. So, and then you'd share that, and then everybody was getting ink all over their hands doing newspaper gruel, until somebody said, "Hey, I use some sphagnum moss, man. It's a lot cleaner." and it holds moisture and it's acidic. It kind of fights bacteria. And so, we just progressed from one step to another. And that's been a lot of fun to be part of that in my lifetime, to watch all of this grow. And, I look around now, it's become so sophisticated and people are breeding just some really cool, difficult stuff. I had Boland's pythons back in the day, very difficult snake to breed, even today. But just about everything is being bred, and hats off to people that have paid attention to what those needs are and doing that.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you find that through the years, through the decades even, that you guys, or just even you in general, are learning slower or less today than back then, or are you guys learning?
Oh, shit, no, man. Listen. The more I know, the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know. Every single day, I read every morning, and I learn something every morning I didn't know. There's more and more out there to read. There's some great papers. Um, we're now looking at kind of social aspects of reptiles and
Yeah,
socialization and maternal things with animals, and we that we knew with mammals, but now we're looking at reptiles. So, oh man, there's so much to learn out there, and that's what's really exciting. There's I don't have enough life left in me to do all the things that I would like to do, and um, I just when I can shut up long enough and have some ears, there's so much to learn.
hmm,
Harry Green posts some really remarkable things from time to time, and worth reading and stuff. But yeah, there's more now to know, so much more. And I say that the more I learn, the more I know, the more I don't know, and have questions about. So
yeah,
yeah, it's kind of an exciting thing if you can share that passion, with your significant other, and kind of get into those aspects of certain things and watching behavior and what things do. That goes a long way,
yeah,
to get people involved in that. So um, yeah, yeah. So I'm lucky. I get up every morning and until the day I can't, and um, I've beat my health challenges. I was an oncology registered nurse. I ran an oncology program for nurses, but did that as a career, and fought my own cancer, and still standing, and had a pretty good heart attack, but nothing different than the normal person at 77. They've been through something. And I wake up every morning just excited to get up, and I want to go look at the snakes, and I want to read some stuff, and um, that's that's what it's really all about, to me. And when I meet other people that are just that passionate, Keith McPeak and Dennis McNamara, there's so many people out there, Tony Dongar and everything. These people that share that same passion. They're just crazy about what they do. You're so lucky to have that in your life. So many people don't have that. How many
yeah,
people do you know that they're bored, or they don't have a hobby, or they don't know what to do with themselves, and they say, "Oh, well, let's just go hang out," which is okay. But oh man, I don't have enough life left in me to do all the things that I want to do. So
yeah, yeah. Like I've talked to people like that before, and it's on my like free time. It's bothered me because I'm like, imagine myself being like that. I'm like, I can fucking do it. Like,
well, no. If you have free time, I'm going to challenge you at your age. Go get that damn manuscript that you started on Thamnolphus, and start writing. You don't have to
yeah,
have a purpose, right? Just write the damn thing, and then you never know. A lot of times, people will pick it up, and with the new technology and stuff, they're always looking for the handheld things and the driving around, not paying attention, getting hit by trucks because you're listening
Yeah.
to whatever. You know, you know. I'm glad you're okay, Brennan.
I appreciate it.
That's a bad experience. I think if you live as long as I do, we've all been through an accident or two, and it's really straighten you up a little
Well,
bit.
I'll put it this way: I've worked for the city, driving a city bus for the past 10 years.
Mhm.
Lots of accidents. You see crazy stuff every day.
Well, I'm sure. Yeah, nobody better than you, right? Yeah, yeah.
You should see the video this guy sent me the other day. I was like, Brennick sends me the craziest shit on a like kind of a sketchy city bus, like downtown in Hamilton, which is kind of not
But
a good
there's
area.
the book I'll buy. You
Yeah.
write that
Yeah,
book. You write that book with your stories. That's better than mine. I'll buy that book.
that's a good
Yeah,
I
idea.
don't.
Tales of a city bus driver. That's a good idea.
yeah. I mean, come on, man.
I often think about being a comedian and just telling stories about things I've experienced on the road.
You should. You should.
Why
Hey, you
not?
guys, stop thinking. Start doing.
Yeah,
If
for sure.
you think you should do that, go do that. Walk into some improv some night and say, I'm a bus driver. Here's some stories.
Yeah, there
Have
is
a
some
couple
like good open mic
have a
gigs
couple
by YouTube.
cocktails first, though. That'll help. So
That does help. Yeah.
yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. Thank goodness for good bourbon.
I'm mad we don't get bourbon anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh?
Because I mean, can like bourbon
Yeah.
is
Well,
that,
well. That's going to stop. It has to stop. Come on, man. Come on.
that's
Come
my
on.
drink of choice. I always got
This.
Buffalo Trace. Can't
Well,
get it anymore.
now you're talking. Buffalo Trace um, produces a number of whiskeys, but um, I've got. I like bourbon. I like Irish whiskey. I'm not a big Scotch, peated,
Yeah.
moss guy, but Blanton's is made by Buffalo Trace, and Blanton's it's a little pricey, but it's. I like bourbon that has a good bite, but it's got a very good taste to it, and yeah, when you start, fucking around with people's bourbons and stuff across the border because of politics, you're going to piss a lot of people off. So,
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
you know,
Oh
let's
yeah. I
stop.
wouldn't
All
even
look,
when
all those Canadian whiskey guys and Seagrams. It works two ways. All those people live in Ohio and Michigan, and that's all that stuff they drink. And so what what goes with one goes with the other. So let's get over all this nonsense. Let's some human kindness in politics, and let's stop dropping bombs on people and killing people, and let's be a little nicer world. Let's do some really good things. Let's go find some snakes, man. There's still
That's
a lot
it.
of them up there.
yeah. Yeah, I think it's about time and stop letting other people's choices ruin your own fucking life. Let people do
Hey,
what they
listen,
want.
leave people alone. If they don't directly impact your life, who cares? I have friends from all over the place that yeah, I don't judge people by their sexual persuasion, their dress, their what they look like. It's what's inside, man. It's what you feel, how you treat people. And I thought we got over a lot of that shit a long time ago. When I was growing up, I grew up in the South when I talk about this often. When there were colored restrooms and I grew up in that stuff, and you think you're so far beyond a lot of that kind of stuff, and here we are today with
Yeah.
everybody's opinions on everybody else. Well, knock it off. Just take care of yourself, man. If somebody's not hurting you and bothering you, just come on, man. Come on. It's so old, and yet here it is. Here we are again. So and I call all of us snake people Planet Snake Tune because we're a really diverse group of people. Purple hair, pink hair, straight hair, lawyers, doctors, quacks. But I love that whole planet. I love who we are, and for the most part, the common denominator of reptiles, really brings a lot of cool people together. and
Yeah.
you get a chance to learn about other people. So I'm hoping things get better.
I hope so too. And you know what? Like what you just said is so awesome too, because one of the reasons why we wanted to do the show is because like we get to talk to some amazing fucking people like you, Ron St. Pierre. Like we talk to all these different people and learn so much about them. And I try to get different stories that other, I mean, you guys have all done so many podcasts. I'm not the first one to interview you guys. You know what I mean? So I try to squeeze out some weird stuff out of you guys, but like even hearing stuff that you guys have said, like Craig, I've listened to so many of your podcasts on other shows, and I love them all. And even hearing you say, even if it's a sentence that maybe you said something similar on another show, every time I hear it, it is just as good as the first time, because I think so much of what you and all these other guys say is so impactful and can be so important for young guys like me and younger than me. Like now there's like I used to be the youngest guy in the hobby, and that's not even the case anymore. Like I'm
No,
plenty of
no,
people younger than me now that
hey,
are
there's
doing
a
starting.
lot of smart 17-year-olds out there. Let me tell you.
Absolutely. Like I have people that come to me with stuff and they'll be younger and I'm like, holy shit. Like where the like a perfect example is he's not much older than me, but Michael Gillen, who does Reptile Rejects. That guy's younger than me by a few years. That guy knows so much about herp herpetoculture history. The amount of names that he will say, and I'll warn you ahead of time right now, Chris. They're gonna reach out to you. They want to talk to you.
Hey, well, listen, I'm going to give a shout out to Michael Berger's new book, The History of Herpetoculture.
Yeah,
It'll be
yes.
out July 15th. I'm going to IHS, and it's going to kind of premiere there. But Michael's done. I previewed that book. It's not out yet, but it's a wonderful historical on, and he's very accurate and very dedicated to it. But it'll be. Brennick, it'll be one of those painful things that you're going to have to shell some cash out for and turn pages, brother. You know.
Oh boy. I was
So
just gonna say there's another one to put on the list.
yeah, the pressure's on, man. You better work some overtime. You got some books to buy.
Oh, I
So
work 13 hours a day.
well, it's
This is
okay.
good.
I work 6 hours a week. You know what? I don't. I never listen to that. I just I tell people, people that complain they don't want to work unless they're starting at 100 grand a year, or just shut up and go to work. Just be nice.
Exactly.
Go to work, and and if you don't like it, work until something better comes along. But just
Yep.
go to work. Just go to work. There's always something to do somewhere, and be happy you're alive. Be happy you're healthy. Be happy you weren't hurt today in the accident
Hmm.
that you are in.
Yeah.
Um, uh, be happy that you don't have a diagnosis of cancer, or you have a young heart attack or something. Just all those things sounds kind of trivial and trite, but it's not. Just wake up happy that you got up and you feel good, and the rest of it's up to you, man.
And that's
So work
exactly
13
it.
hours and then work your ass off with your snakes. You're young, 9 cups of coffee, and 4 hours of sleep. You're good to go. So
I got a 3-year-old. Those 4 hours of sleep nights happen
hey,
too much.
hey, we raised 4. We
Ooh,
raised 4 like stair steps, man.
yeah.
Yeah, that'll perk you up for sure. Yeah,
But you know exactly what you said is so true because every day I drive the bus and I see the people who don't work and they have to live in a tent and you got to appreciate the little things. I
yeah.
have a
Look,
house. I got a beautiful family. I got beautiful snakes.
well, there you
I
go.
get to work a job. You got to appreciate that
Well,
stuff.
there you go. And look, there's a lot of mental health issues out there, a lot of homeless people, and a lot of good people that just can't figure it out. But there's also a lot of people that they just don't want to do anything, and it's their life. But what a waste! What a waste! Working oncology my whole life, so many people that lost their lives that wanted to live so badly,
Hmm.
that you learn a lot. And don't waste a minute, man. Don't waste a minute. You got an extra minute, Braden. Start writing that book again. That's another book for Brennick to buy, and I'll buy it too. So, man, Brennick, you're up to like 3, 4 books now, right? You know,
Jeez.
man, you get up to 5 or 6, I might even go in the wood shop and make you a bookcase, with a snake on it,
Well, I'm gonna buy all 3 of yours,
Yeah.
and then I gotta
So,
buy. I can't remember his first name, but I know the last name's Berger. I gotta buy his book, and I've been pushing Braden for years
Michael
to write his
Berger.
book.
Yeah, Michael Berger be a lot of valuable information about history and names that you'll recognize some of them and some very important people. And he's a very detailed person. He's done a very, very good job with this book. So I'm glad Bob chose us to publish it because a lot of people want to get stuff published, and he doesn't do it all. But this is a good one, so I got to give a shout out to that. So what else you guys got? Come on, man. Tell me something exciting.
Something
How old are you?
exciting.
How old are you guys?
Brennick, go ahead.
I'm 30.
30. Wow.
26.
Okay, Brad. 26 years old, man.
I know. I'm just a baby, dude.
Hey, listen, man. Give me a few bourbons. I'll tell you some stories of 26 and 30. Yeah. That'll be for a whole different kind of podcast, friend.
Hey, that's a Patreon exclusive.
Yeah. When we get to our 100 episodes, I'll reach out to you.
Yeah. I'll call you up on my dying bed and I'll tell you all our secrets.
Wow,
I'll
we'll
get
do Craig
Casey Lassick to tell his secrets. All my friends with all their secrets will tell them all on that day. So
yeah, Craig Trumbower tell all. That's what we'll do.
Yeah.
That would be something special.
There'll be 2 people to listen anyway.
Yeah,
Brennick with his 4 books because he's trying to work to pay them off, so he's got to listen.
That's it. You have to take out a small loan.
Yeah. Well, today for sure, but there's some really good books out there still that were published some time ago that you can get for practically nothing that are worth having in a collection. New stuff's pretty tough because the cost is just so prohibitive. It makes it tough to put out a book like I just did.
Yeah, I think there's 30 or 40 books in my like wish list right now that I'm like just waiting for either a sale or one to show up somewhere I can kind of get it cheaper. Yours
check Mike Crick out. You know Mike Crick?
Yes, that's where I got your book from, Craig, is Mike.
Okay, well, I've known Mike since he was a kid. He worked in a pet store, and Mike's a very knowledgeable guy. He runs a pretty good thing, gets some really good books. So yeah, I get on his list to see what he has coming in, or let him know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
So Mike finds some pretty cool stuff. And to that note, Bob Ashley, my publisher, is built the World Herpetological Library out in Rodeo. It's quite a place. Of course, IHS 50th anniversary is out there. I've done a box to house Terry Van Deventer's knives.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that.
Our donation. Yeah, Terry's a master bladesmith. One of the few. I think the only one in Mississippi, and there's only a handful really in the country. And he's really good, and that's a real prize. I mean, my boxes, I do some kind of carved lepidus. I'm kind of hung up on those, and from different localities, and put it in a marble wood box, and it's a nice package. And we've done it before, and raised significant money for IHS and other charities and things. So I hope people, will get involved in that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I would be very surprised if not. I'll put a picture of the knives in the box up because I was actually looking at them. I think I was looking at them yesterday because they posted them. And I did see the updated photo that you had posted.
Thank you, Mike. Mike Clarkson's too busy. He's a great guy. You can't keep track with him. He's halfway around the world every 5 minutes, doing his thing. Which good on him. Good for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's somebody pulled a different box I made, which is a pretty good box, but
it was nice.
It's not the one at IHS. So he got that straightened out. And
I did see
Terry's knives. Yeah.
And man, what a duo! Because like I kind of like imagine like, okay, if I got that knife in that box, and it was like those are incredible like they're, I mean, it goes without saying that they're the only ones like that specific in the world, right? Like they're special, and both of them together is such an amazing piece. And not only that, but the IHS, there's no way I'll make it out there, but like if you can get out there, because that is going to be something special. Brennick, add it to your list.
Yeah, Braden, you too. Listen, IHS is an important part of herpetology and herpetoculture. Unfortunately, the numbers have dwindled a bit.
Yeah.
We need new blood. We need you guys. We need your age coming into it. We got a bunch of old guys swapping the same old stories, drinking the same old bourbon every year. We need a lot of youth coming into it. It's a worthy organization to sponsor research and to educate the world. And it's been primarily herpetology, but I beginning to see more of inclusive herpetoculture, getting together with herpetology. Herpetoculture wasn't very popular with academic herpetologists for a while, and for some it still isn't. But there's been kind of a grace period, and now I think some of herpetology understands some of the good things that we have done, being able to breed so many different species and some very rare species in captivity. Like some of those cyclura, some of those things, that don't even exist in the wild now are bred in captivity. So, if it wasn't for us, you can have herpetology, but thank goodness for some of the people that, Wayne Hill and other people that bred like Hamilton's pond turtle, down to a few, and now there's thousands because they've bred them. So, yeah, there's some good points. So I'm hoping to see herpetology and herpetoculture get a little bit closer, um, and you guys get involved, get some young people involved in it, because you're the future. You're the future of which direction herpetoculture is going to go, and don't listen to all the crap about, oh, it's dying and it's on its way out, and this and that. And it's the same old moaners and groaners who can't stand up and greet a kid at his table and say hi and smile to him and, and maybe give him a snake. So be different and try to encourage that, because those relationships are so important, for our hobby.
I
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's a big thing is like those are the guys who are worried about the monetary value instead of actually loving the animals. Because like myself, I would give somebody an animal because I want them to enjoy it like I enjoy it, rather
Well,
than
sure.
worry about the price tag on it.
You want to see that same passion. Man,
Exactly.
it's really cool when you watch somebody really excited about something. And in this hobby, that's really a very cool thing. We've got so many stories in the past about that. And yeah, look, you'll never think about the $50 you gave away or the $100 you gave away. But someday that 6'11" guy will walk up to your table and thank you, and he's now a herpetologist, and you never know. So yeah, I think we're headed in the right direction. A lot of people would argue that, but I think as long as there's passionate people in the hobby, we will always be an industry. There will always be shows. Maybe there's too many shows sometimes in certain areas or something. I don't know. That'll work itself out. But this isn't going away. With all the problems we have in the world today, the last thing people are going to give up is their passion. And when it involves animals, listen, the world can go to hell, and people aren't going to give up their dog and their cat and their bird and their snake. It's what they've got, and that's just a fact. So if we can do things to make all that better and good, then good on us. So
Yeah, for sure. Um, yeah, I uh I definitely want to make more of an effort to attend things like IHS and even more shows like when I first so I've had kind of two runs in the hobby where I was in it from 2000. I bred my first snakes when I was 11 years old. It was checkered garter snakes. And then I did it till I was, I don't know, 22. I was moved here up north. So I must have been 22, 23, and 4. Anyway, I took a 2-year break because of some personal issues. I sold my entire collection, biggest mistake I ever made. And then I've only been rebuilding and getting back into it in the last year, but I've been doing it very differently where I think I was a young stupid kid. I still am a young stupid kid, but I was even younger and stupider when I did it the first time. I kind of let myself get an unearned and really unnecessary ego and stupid stuff like that. And when I came back into the second time, I made a very specific point to not only not let that happen again, which I'm very happy to say it has not, but also be more willing to meet all these new interesting and amazing fucking people and go to these awesome events and stuff. And that's, like I've gone to Manitoba twice this year for Canadian events. And I drove my fiance 1,300 kilometers to go see garter snakes, of which we have in the basement, and to her they look the same, and she was okay with it, thankfully. And there I was
Well,
going
take
crazy.
care of her. Take
Oh yeah,
care of her.
oh yeah, she's
Take care
she's
of
a
her.
good one. She is a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
but
you guys are on the right track. And, you mentioned Marcianus, checker garter snakes. I lived in West Texas for 10 years, and there's a population of Westerns that were prettier than any Eastern Marcianus I'd ever seen in this one area, one slight area up there. And actually, south of me, there was an established population of anarthristic Marcianus that, of course, are in the hobby now, along with albinos. But
yeah.
that's another cool garter snake.
Oh, I think they're one of the best. I love them. Absolutely
Yeah,
love them.
yeah.
That's what our logo is based off of. It's a Marcianus. It was my first garter snake I ever bought and didn't sneak into the house, like a little Eastern or something, and hide from my parents. So our logo is her head that's just like outlined. And unfortunately, she passed away from cancer about a year and a half ago now. She was 11 or 12 years old, but she was the best snake I ever had. She was fucking amazing.
Well, yeah, my story started with a ribbon snake. So,
Yeah.
um, and um, it's interesting to talk to guys that are um, thinking out of the box and keeping things that are out of the box, that are a little bit different. So, um, well, I'm gonna run along. Maybe we
Yeah,
can
of
do
course.
this again.
Absolutely.
We can continue our conversation. Maybe get into a little bit more about snakes and technical stuff. I get a little bit preachy in my old age, and
That's okay. That's okay. We
want to
love
see
it here.
people
And
want to
just
see
before
people do well.
you, yeah, absolutely. Just before you get out of here, I want to thank you again for coming on. I hope I gave you enough time after the influx of people reaching out about your book release and whatnot. I tried to, and I know you had your awesome vacation to Costa Rica. I hope that went well.
It went
But
well, and I get a lot of offers. I don't do I do some
mhm,
podcasts, these things, but I'm well taken care of. I have so many friends that feel like they need to take care of me, and so anytime I do a podcast, everybody checks everybody out, and they get
yeah,
back with me. And you cleared the board, and it was all good, and that's why I said yes. And I'm glad I did. Glad to get to know you. And Brennick, you're a conundrum. I'm going to figure you out, buddy. I'm going to make you a bookshelf, and you're going to have a whole damn shelf full of snake books, buddy, and working those 60-hour weeks, and you're going to be a stand-up comedian, man, a good success. I know
That's
you are. Yeah.
awesome. That's
So,
and on that, I think that's a perfect place to close out. So thanks again, Craig. Again, if you guys haven't checked it out, please check out his book. All three of them, right? I'd say so. Or do you think maybe
yeah.
the other two
Yep.
stink and just check out?
Yeah. The first one's the hardbacks out of print, but there's still some soft copies around. And
Nice.
book two still has some. I have some here. I take stuff to the 2 shows. I do a year or 3 shows usually, and then the rest can come through ecouniverse.com. That's Bob Ashley's Eco. If you just put Eco in there, it'll come up somewhere, and you scroll down the books, and you can find my books. But
Perfect. We'll
yeah,
put all that in the description. It should be easy to find. Um, that's it. Thank you
well,
again.
you guys
That
keep
was
doing what you're doing, man. Hey, go home, take care of yourself, Rennick. You
I
know,
will.
yeah, sounds, you got people you're responsible for. You know,
I know.
yeah,
I know.
yeah, yeah. Okay, all right,
All
man,
right.
and keep keep that bourbon tipping up there too. You know, in those cold nights.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Absolutely.
all right, buddy. Be kind.
Thank you.
All right,
Thanks,
You too,
Craig.
sir.
all right, love you, buddy.
Thank you for tuning in to Creature Crossing. Please check the description for social media links, Patreon, and more. Feel free to subscribe and leave us a review. The song used for our intro and our outro is called The Snake Eater's Palace, Outer Heaven by Audio Mocha, Anime Vivi, and Endless Repeat, which we found at ocremix.org. Thanks again for listening.